Ross, a massive hit to the bottom line for the airline. Probably not very surprising, though.
Yeah. It really is a big hit to Qantas's bottom line. So let's say, for example, you go to that profit or loss, really, $1.1 billion just for the last 6 months. But then you go to the revenue line. This is where you really start to see the impact of coronavirus, the lack of travel, the international borders being closed. And so the actual total revenue of Qantas, $2.3 billion for this half year. But note that that's down some $7 billion on the same period last year. And also it includes a fairly significant amount of JobKeeper. So Qantas took in around about $459 million in JobKeeper. But the truth is that JobKeeper ends in March. Qantas has still got a whole bunch of its international staff who are not working right now. Alan Joyce has pretty much made a couple of ultimatums to government. What he wants is he wants a deadline of the end of April by which the state and federal governments come to an agreement not to shut the state borders anymore. He's also got another deadline, which is the end of October, where he wants to see his international airline flying again. So in other words, Australia's borders are open because he wants to protect those jobs. Otherwise, JobKeeper is going to end and those people will have no income. Have a listen.
What we're saying post the end of March is we know JobKeeper has to end in that form, but is there something that could be done for those 7,500 people where Qantas wouldn't be taking any of that cash? That cash would be going to the individual, which is what's happened since the international borders have been stopped. And is there a way of helping them get through till when the borders open? So that's the component we're interested in, not the full JobKeeper package.
And Ross, in that interview, Alan Joyce seemed pretty optimistic about the resumption of travel.
Well, it's so true. He wants it to happen. Now, the interesting part about this is if, say, for example, the borders opened and the vaccine takes a hold and as a result we are, got this freedom of movement again, then what happens next? Because if other airlines around the world, they start having more capacity, is there going to be a situation where really airfares are very expensive? I put that question to him. He, on the other hand, says no, even though he's going to leave the A380, the giant super jumbo aircraft, the Airbus, in the Mojave Desert in the middle of America for the foreseeable future. They're not coming back into service anytime soon. He still says to try and get people back in the air and to get them travelling again, he thinks that the airfares that we'll be paying in the future will be much cheaper. Again, have a listen.
I'd rather fly the aircraft, get people back to work, and if there's any demand and any hope of doing that, even with really low airfares, we'll put the aircraft back in. So we'll be trying to stimulate the demand, trying to get people to come back in the air, trying to get people to travel internationally, try and get foreign tourists to come into Australia. And I think the airfares will be low for some time to encourage that travel.
Yeah, so there's Alan Joyce, the Chief Executive of Qantas. So he's optimistic. Not only can he get his airline back properly in the air again, but he says really the jobs of some 7,500 people depend on it. And the government itself has to make a decision very quickly as to what will happen at the end of JobKeeper, as to whether those jobs actually disappear and those people are in hardship, or whether indeed some other form of support is created for them.
Ross Greenwood, appreciate the update. Thank you.